I'm only human, I do what I can. I'm just a man, I do what I can. Don't put the blame on me. Don't put your blame on me.
Hello, my name is Jim Sheehy and this is reallyhuman.ie. Today we're going to talk about anxiety, which if you were to ask me over the last 10 years, what's the one major change in people coming to me, it would be in the levels of anxiety being presented. I meet an awful lot of, for example, young children, as young as 7, 8, 9, sometimes even younger, who in some sense experience anxiety almost to the level of psychosis at times, which is frightening. But right through the age spectrum, I just find that anxiety is prevalent all over the place. So, in terms of anxiety, what is it? Well, I think when we look at anxiety, it's something that is causing us concern. Now again, anxiety has a huge spectrum. It is something from being genuinely worried and concerned about something, in other words, you've got something to actually worry about, which is there, to something being totally irrational. So I'm going to go through some stuff that is not rational. I'm going to take an example and then I'm going to tell you some of the crazy stuff we do in our heads. Imagine, for example, with my MS that I decided to go on a holiday abroad without my wife, who usually does a lot of the caring for me. And I said, no, I want to try this myself. Immediately there would probably be a whole bunch of what I call irrational thoughts going on in my head. For example, let's take a few of them, okay? Catastrophizing. Somebody might say to me, or I might say to myself, oh my goodness, if I have a major fall in Italy, what's going to happen? If I lose my passport and I'm burgled, how am I going to manage? All because I've got MS, okay? I could be reading the future and sort of saying, if I am at a train station and the train doesn't come at 11 o'clock at night, how am I going to actually walk from one place to the other? So I'm already predicting that there's going to be major train wrecks and all sorts of things going on. Mind reading, I'm almost already thinking of, people will already be thinking and saying, well, Jim Sheehy is a bit of an idiot for going off on a holiday on his own in the first place. So I'm already assuming that they're going to be saying that. And then I have the whole bunch of what ifs. What if this happens? What if that happens? This is actually what we do when we're worried. As I say, it's okay to be genuinely worried about some things. If I was going on that holiday, I would have to take great care. But a lot of the stuff is crazy, okay? That will never happen. But we crucify ourselves with the thoughts. So what are we looking for when we talk about anxiety? We're looking for a sense of feeling safe and in control. Okay, when you're anxious, again, your head is flooded with all sorts of ideas. I am helpless and I am hopeless. I can't handle this. That's what's actually happening in your head when you feel anxious, okay? So you want to change those so that the feelings change as a result, okay? So I want to make this point. Rather than change them dramatically, it's often changing from one, I'm helpless and hopeless, to saying, for example, I do the best I can for myself and those I love. I just do the best I can. Not to put, I should be this, or I ought to be this, or I can't be that. It's just, I do the best I can. Or, for example, you say, there comes a time when I trust another and let them be free. Think of a teenager and you're all anxious about them. And you're sort of saying, no, I trust them enough to let them go and be free. So it's changing the cognitions, the thoughts in your heads, just slowly, just tweak them and say, let me release and be more in control and feel safer as a result. I'm going to give you a bunch of ideas about managing anxiety. One that people have traditionally used is prayer, and still is very valid. Now prayer, why does it work? It's all about rhythm and movement. You think of an old prayer like the Rosary, for example. It's chanting. It's just over and back, saying the same thing, Hail Mary, Holy Mary, all the time. It's just that sense of rhythm and movement. The same rhythm and movement that you get when you're walking by a beach. You're kind of feeling the waves going here and to and fro. Anything to do with rhythm and movement calms us down, okay? Another way of managing anxiety, an obvious one, is talk it through with someone. Get it out there. And this is important because if it's in your head and you're not talking, you're saying, what's wrong with me? As soon as you talk to somebody, that person says, no, that's not what's wrong with you. That's what happened to you. Or that's what's happening to you right now. So it's suddenly you're in survivor mode, not in victim mode. Okay, that's important. Mindfulness is very popular at the moment. mindfulness is huge today, but it needs to be done in a proper way. And I will be doing a few videos on mindfulness, show you the way I do it, okay? But it's basically working around breathing as a fantastic human way of regulating what goes on inside our heart, inside of our lungs, inside of our bodies, in terms of our heads, in terms of our behavior. It's huge. So one way I do it is I bring in what I call a team of inquiry into mindfulness, where you choose 1, 2, or 3 wisdom figures that you bring into your mindfulness zone, and they are your trusted figures. So we'll do a little bit of that in a later video. If you suffer from severe anxiety, I'll give you an example, severe OCD or chronic anxiety, you need to go and see somebody, because no friend, no spouse, no partner will be able to help you on this. You need specialist help. So getting the phone, ringing that person and saying, look, I just need help, professional help, for maybe 6, 8 sessions. Let me get it done. Saves you so much grief, and those around you so much grief in the months and years ahead. Finally, medication. It's important certainly to go to your GP, but there's kind of an ongoing debate about, how good is it to talk to somebody like a therapist and the medicalization of a disorder, as they call it, like anxiety. My own view is very clear. You go the human route first. You try every single resource you can find in terms of managing your anxiety before you go down the medication route. Why? It's pumping chemicals into your brain, which you can become very used to, possibly even addicted to. So if there's a human way to do it first, do it. Not against medication, I'm just saying as a last resort. And the last thing are just simple, healthy coping strategies that we all use. If you love music, like a lot of young people just love the beats in their heads, they love those favorite songs, use that. If it's art, if it's walking by the beach, if it's whatever it is, use those healthy coping strategies. Try to get them in. It's like, do them first, like getting involved in sport. The younger you are, the better. And then when anxiety strikes, you have those resources already built in. This is Jim Sheehy from reallyhuman.ie. Thank you for listening.
But I'm only human after all. I'm only human after all.